This meeting is now streaming live on YouTube. Good morning. Good morning, Stream Academy. Welcome to Morning Coffee, the most widely viewed and highly entertaining morning coffee show that Stream Academy does. I thought take a moment while YouTube's loading over here to adjust this.
It's the witty banter. Oh,
we're going to go over the survey results from all 11 respondents to our survey this morning. It is Wednesday, the 19th of August, and time has definitely been going quickly. That's what happens when you're really, really busy. Yeah. And it has been unbelievably busy in the Stream Academy world. Things are happening just so fast. The information overload has been one of our key terms lately. There's so much information and so much happening, so much information and so much for teachers to process and prepare and to do. So much information going out to parents. It's been amazing. It's been good. It's been positive. The energy at Stream Academy is really good. It's strong. It's positive. Teachers are really excited to gear up and get the year started. We have Mrs. Beyondich, my faithful sidekick, on with us today, moderating the chat box. Hit control and the mute button in case anyone gets rowdy. We've got Miss Gatlin with us here today. Good morning, Miss Gatlin. We've got our Canvas expert and 8th grade cohort teacher, Mrs. Smith, on.
What's up?
Good morning. I see our 6th grade science teacher, 6th grade cohort teacher, Miss Drager, is here with us today. Thank you for coming, Miss Drager.
Anytime.
I see 7th grade science teacher, Mr. Holsopple.
Good morning, everyone.
I know he would rather be planning junk drawer science lessons. I love that. I'd never heard that term before, Mr. Holsopple, junk drawer science. You're gonna have to tell us, can you tell us a little bit about junk drawer science today, Mr. Holsopple?
Sure, and I have a visual aid because I have the book sitting on my desk. I have junk drawers biology, I have junk drawer chemistry. Basically, these are science experiments and projects that kids can do by pulling random stuff out of a recycle bin or out of like using rubber bands and twist ties and anything that is lying around the house. And kids can do pretty cool science projects with that.
That's pretty awesome. That's pretty cool. Junk drawer science. Mrs. Beyondich, will you put the link to that morning coffee survey in the chat when you get a moment? So if you have a 7th grade student, you can look forward to seeing junk drawer science lessons coming your way. Miss Drager took some classes this summer and got some resources for science as well. And so I'm excited. I don't have to put you on the spot, Miss Drager. You can grab the mic if you want to. If not, that's okay. But I'm excited to see the science lessons and what's going to come from what you've got planned as well.
Oh yeah, well I have this whole training and all these lessons on argumentative based inquiry. So we're going to be using evidence to support our claims, and it's going to be a very collaborative year.
Awesome. So we actually have 5 science teachers on staff for a teaching staff of 11 teachers. So when we talk about, we talk about the 3 pillars of Stream Academy. Anchorage Stream Academy inspires students to be involved learners, critical thinkers, and engaged citizens inspired by the natural world. And when we talk about the 3 pillars of Stream Academy, we talk about project-based learning, which is sort of the driver of everything that we do. And we talk about outdoor experiential education, and we talk about STEM. And so I feel like sometimes I don't talk enough about the STEM part. We talk a lot about project-based learning, and we talk a lot about outdoor experiential ed. And the STEM is an equal leg of those 3 legs of the stool. And so I did want to share that. Miss Gatlin is a science teacher and has a science background, and that's part of why when we opened the school, she came in the position she's in, sort of as a program coordinator. We've called her the project-based learning coordinator, teacher, instructional coach, teacher support. But her science background has really helped to strengthen that part of our program. She does a lot of support with our science teachers. Mr. Holsopple is an incredible science teacher. Love seeing the lessons and things he does. Miss Drager is here with us today, has been with us since we opened the school. Not only is she an awesome science teacher and really fun to watch her teach, but she has also piloted our robotics program since we opened the school and really single-handedly developed the robotics curriculum and robotics program and after school club at Stream, which is pretty incredible. And if I can share a little bit of a peek under the hood, the first year when we opened the school, I don't think Miss Drager had any experience with robotics. And I just said, hey, in addition to hiring you to teach science, I also need you to start a robotics program. And she did what Stream Academy teachers do. And she said, okay, I'll figure it out. And now it's the best robotics program you can ask for. Miss Goodman also is a science teacher. And then Mr. Beer is teaches more math and science for us now, but Mr. Beer is a science teacher also. So we have a science heavy staff by design. Went down that rabbit hole. I just wanted to share that with you. Miss Bionich, can you put a link in the chat or did you do that already?
I'm trying to find the link in the drive. So sorry, boss.
Hold on, I think I can put it in. I might be able to do it. Give me 1 second. So we put a quick survey out there, and if anyone is able to do it now, you're welcome to do it now. You might see real-time results. See if that link works. Because I wanted to share, we only got 11 responses, which is fine because people are busy. So we did do a quick survey out just to see what works best for folks for morning coffee. So there were 11 respondents so far. I'll refresh in a minute if anyone's taking the survey. All 11 respondents said that they do watch morning coffee, which is great because if you click no, you don't watch morning coffee, it's kind of funny. It just takes you right to the end of the survey and says, thank you for taking our survey. So I thought that was funny. There was a little bit of tongue-in-cheek fun. I must have been in that kind of a mood when I made the survey, as you'll see. Which day works best for you to attend morning coffee? 100% of the 11 respondents said today, Wednesday, works best. So, so far, not looking at changing the day. What time works best? The majority of the people who took the survey said that this current time, 8 to 9 a.m. works best. We had one person say 9 to 10 and a couple people say 10 to 11. So as it stands, unless we get a bunch more respondents and those numbers really shift, probably leaving it as it is. This is my favorite section. What do you find most useful in morning coffee? 72% of respondents said they find the current events and updates and program information most useful. 90% said the Q&A sessions, and that was really good for me to hear that parents really value the time to ask us questions and just to talk back and forth and talk things out. So we will continue to make time for that, which is really cool because I really get a lot out of that. I learn a lot from parents from your questions. 9 respondents, or 80%, said they like the Stream staff presenters. So I'm going to work on scheduling those regularly. Every morning coffee, there'll be another staff member. What I think I'll ask the teachers to do, teachers who are on, you can tell me what you think of this. Instead of asking all of our teachers to be on every morning coffee when they don't necessarily all need to be there, what I think I'll do is I'll work with each team, each cohort team of 2, and schedule each cohort team in a morning coffee, so that in a couple weeks we might have Mr. Holsopple and Mr. Beer on morning coffee, and then parents who have students in those 2 7th grade cohorts know they're going to come on and just say, hey, we're doing this junk drawer science lesson, and here's where we're at with math, and spread that out. Only 4 people, or 33%, said they like the guest speakers, such as district experts or authors and that type of thing. So we'll minimize the special guest speaker. And 7 respondents, or 58%, said they like morning coffee for the witty banter of Mr. Mokelke and Mrs. Bionich. one person responded, mostly they're here for the witty banter. That was my tongue-in-cheek funny part of the survey. You can all humor me and pretend to laugh. And then there was some, what would you like to know about morning coffee? So that was the survey results. So in seriousness, what the survey results say is we'll probably keep morning coffee how it is for the most part. All right, what else did we want to talk about today? Miss Boners is here. Good morning, Miss Boners. Thank you for joining us. Did I miss any other staff who jumped on? Staff, if you are here and I didn't see you, Mr. Mosen is here. Mr. Mosen.
Good morning.
Good morning. Mr. Mosen is dying to get permission from me. He's like, have you ever seen the rodeo shows or the rodeo on TV or in real life maybe, or the bull is in the cage ready to go and it's like ready, just like ramming against the cage? That's Mr. Mosen. He's raring to go, man.
I was bracing myself for your analogy. I was thinking rodeo clown, the rider. I wasn't thinking the bull, but I'll go with it.
I was an English teacher in another life, and so analogies are my thing, man. I can make up an analogy on the fly. Mr. Mosen is dying for Miss Gatlin and I to give him the green light to start cross country running. So I am too, because I know how important it is to our kids, and I'm just any way we can get our kids together face to face right now, safely and legally, so to speak. We can't wait to do that. I know the district has started allowing high school sports to practice and do conditioning. So I'm really hoping middle school is not far behind and we can send something out with some parameters to start cross country running and also to start some optional meetings in the park and, outdoor learning activities. So.
Yeah, I'll reach out and see how those conditioning classes are working and what the protocols are. So we'll be ready when it happens.
So last night was our open house. I think it was a great open house, other than me talking too much, which is usually what happens in these things. We had some great presentations. You can watch that on YouTube. We record that on YouTube, just like the morning coffees. So Mrs. Smith talked about Canvas. Ms. Kodelman talked about our induction week, what happens Thursday and Friday, and then what the plan is for next week. And the first part of that plan, parents, again, I want to keep saying, so we'll have an assembly Thursday morning, tomorrow morning, for all of our students to welcome them. Then Thursday and Friday is dedicated to the one-on-one conferences. So teachers will be calling, setting up meetings and calling. If they haven't, probably today, setting up those meetings, I would hope. And so you should be hearing from teachers on Thursday and Friday. And they actually have a script to go through to make sure, or not a script so much as a checklist, to make sure that they cover all the things that we want to talk to you about and sort of get our year started with that personal conversation, that personal connection with you. And so you'll have a chance to ask all those really specific questions, like ask Mr. Holsoppel a lot more about junk drawer science. And ask Miss Drager when she's starting a virtual robotics club, and how can you do robotics virtually, Miss Drager? So that's the first thing that's going to happen. What else did we hear last night, Miss Gatlin? What else did we cover in open house that we'd want to mention?
Well, we want everybody to know that the website has been revamped and the links for are on the website. There's additional links that have been added to the website. There's an FAQ channel at the top now with the questions that we've been getting the most. And so all of those questions that I'm getting more than once I'm adding to the FAQ page, because I figure if one person has that question, multiple people are going to have that question. And so all of those questions and answers are there, and I'm updating that every day.
Sorry.
You just have to click on the FAQ and get it. Under the families page, there's, if you click on families and go to that page, on the left-hand side of the families page, there's a link to Canvas support and other resources for parents. And if you hover over the link of students, if you hover over that, there is a drop down for Canvas LMS for students. So all those are brand new support pages that we've added to the website to help communicate all this new information with our families.
That is incredible. I don't know how familiar you all are with school web pages, but they don't always get the most attention of busy school staff. They're not always the most helpful or up-to-date websites. I'm trying to say this as nicely as possible, because I honestly think ours has got to be the best in ASD, and that's 100% because of Mrs. Beyondage. She does all of our webmaster work, and she has worked really hard at, not just recently, but last year, continually updating and fine tuning our website. Our webpage is, I think, is really good. It's current. It's got a lot of great resources for parents. And thank you so much, Mrs. Beyondage, for that extra duty that you don't always get recognized for. It's pretty incredible. So parents, I really recommend that you bookmark this webpage, our webpage, and use that as a resource. There's so many. I did want, this is kind of on agenda, because I did want to do a little drive through of the webpage this morning and just show parents what it looks like. So we talked about the FAQ page. So we get a lot of questions. Like some of our most common email or phone calls are, I do need a Chromebook. How do I do that? So, and we always send the link when you email and ask, but it's right here, right on the main web page. You go there and it says Chromebook checkout form, and it's super easy. You literally just click on that, takes you to a form.
One tip I would like to share with folks out there is that because I update the website literally multiple times a day, it's always a good idea, if you're not opening a brand new browser, to go ahead and refresh. Just use that little refresh circle at the top. And because if you don't, it loads the last data that you looked at. So just make sure that you refresh when you go into our website, and you'll get the most current data.
Awesome. So you can see that the links right on the main page for Chromebook checkout, get a stream mug, for the first day of school Zoom, for my blog parent updates that I periodically put out. There's this link that we worked on last spring, and we'll have to take a look and update it. But this is pretty cool. If you're looking for the part of the mission and vision at Stream, that outdoor and experiential education, and we're not able to do that quite yet, go to the Stream 55 outdoor activities, and it just gives you a list of, and this wasn't something we just borrowed from the web. I mean, I searched all over the web for examples, but we fine-tuned this to meet Stream as best we can. And so a lot of these we hot linked also. Not all of them quite yet, because you don't really need a link to go for a walk. But the ones that are blue, you can see there's a link. So a lot of these optional fun 55 outdoor activities you can do, make a nature film, fly a paper airplane, plant seeds, paint rocks. A lot of these have hot links for parents. So you can click on the link, and hopefully it doesn't take you to a bad link, and there you are. There's a site we found on making your own bubble blowing mixture. So
I also want to add, we're going to be adding some more things to our website, probably starting week after next. Once teachers start diving into content, we're going to be putting out suggested outdoor learning experiences and outdoor adventures that families can take their students on to connect with our content and with nature. So that's coming soon to a website at a school near you.
awesome. So I wanted to take a look at our website, but the last thing I wanted to specifically focus on, Mrs. Beyondage talked about it, was the FAQs. Mrs. Beyondage put this up recently, and she's updating it real time, regularly. So if you have questions on all of the myriad of things happening and how everything's going to work, it's very likely that you'll find it here. Also, if you have a question that you think would be helpful for others to add to this, let us know. Let Mrs. Bionich or I know, please add this question. And she's going to continue to add questions. So questions that are on here: when will students' Chromebooks be available for pickup? When is open house? Last night. When is the first day of school? How will students begin logging into classes? When will parents get a copy of the Zoom class sign-in schedules? When will teachers be contacting us? When are we face-to-face again, and will my kid be required to wear a mask? When will we have the opportunity to have optional face-to-face outdoor adventures? Ms. Gatlin's working on that. What school supplies does my student need? When will we learn how to navigate Canvas? If my kid doesn't have math until Q2, can they have access to a math program to start practicing? Yes, yes.
So Principal McKelkey, one of the nice things about this website is that it's also ADA compliant. So if you have a reader that reads the website for you, you can navigate. You don't have to read from top to bottom. You can navigate through this. And if parents need any additional help, I want them to know that they can always call the school at 742-9000. And if you looked at the FAQ, you can't find the question, even if the question's on there and you just need more information, I want you to call me at 742-9000. And either Ms. Bonertz, our counselor, or I, or the principal, or a teacher that's in the building, we'll talk to you and we'll help you. We'll get you through the answers that you need. So don't be afraid to call us just because we have an FAQ page. Call us if you need us.
Yes, customer service is extremely important to us. Thank you, Mrs. Bionich. All right, those are sort of the things we wanted to touch base on today and go over for the start of the show. I'm trying to keep one eye on the YouTube feed, and we have 6 people watching the YouTube stream, watching us on YouTube. So for those of you on YouTube, you can type a question on the YouTube chat. And on Zoom, we have to remember, if we put something in the chat, folks watching on YouTube live or watching on YouTube later can't see that. That's why I really try to read those and verbalize those comments and questions when they're pertinent. So to the folks watching on YouTube, thank you for joining us, and type something in the YouTube chat or shoot us an email if there's something you want to talk about. But I did want to take a moment to see if any of our parents or participants had any questions for any of the staff that's on.
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
I tried to click on the link last night for the parents to have access to Canvas to monitor their students' progress and such, but nothing was coming up on the link. Is there a link on the page? Because I'm not finding it.
I can quickly try to troubleshoot that. I think the student's course has to be published before the student can generate a code.
Okay.
So I think that you are going to need to wait until at least tomorrow, when the courses are finally pushed out to students, and then have your student generate that code.
Okay, that would make sense. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Thanks, Zeb. So yes, some of us have published aspects of our course. And those parents have joined as observers. And some people have published their entire course, but most people have not yet until tomorrow. So tomorrow we begin with our big Zoom simile, and then we'll be contacting families individually and giving you more individual guidance specific to our courses. And some teacher, I know one teacher who's planning on publishing the course after he or she talks to the parents, just so that nobody gets any confusion or anything.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. There's a good question in the chat. There's a number of things in the chat to address. A question is asked: how are middle school students kept separate from the Wayland Baptist students? And that's a good question that we do like to address, and we do like to periodically share the answer with parents, because I know that's important. And so to be honest with you, when we first opened the school, before we had students in the building, it was one of my initial concerns with leasing a facility of that nature, a university, a college. How will we do that? And so what we learned is we have never had an issue with that in 4 years under our belts already. And the reason is we have the full lease rights to our classrooms and our parts of the facility until 4:30 p.m. So the classrooms are exclusively ours. Professors aren't allowed to use the classrooms until after 4:30 p.m., much less Wayland Baptist students. And the second piece of that is Wayland Baptist classes don't begin until 6 o'clock in the evening. So it is very rare to see one of the Wayland Baptist, because it's a night school. It's a night school. It's a lot of people who are living and working on base, a lot of military folks, and a lot of working people like you, working adult parents who are taking night classes. So it's very different looking than, say, UAA or a more traditional college in that sense. It's very rare to see a student at Wayland Baptist when we're there, to see a student before 4:30. And when we do see students, they're at the front desk talking to Carol Lee about registration, or once in a great while going to a room on the main floor that's not one of the rooms we use, to a computer lab to do some placement testing and that type of thing. Or perhaps they're meeting with their advisor. But that's honestly, even before the pandemic, it was extremely rare to even see a student. I have never in 4 years yet had a Wayland Baptist student like wandering the building or wander into our classrooms. Never happened. So how do we keep them separate? It just structurally. We're set up so that we use that facility. There are some Wayland Baptist staff, but other than that, that's our facility during the day on until 4:30, and then it's really interesting to be there at 6:30 at night, because you see the whole building transforms to a college. So it's a middle school during the day, and it's a university at night. It's pretty cool. So we do of course screen and watch that, and so does Wayland Baptist, and they have everyone who walks through that door check in with them at the front counter. So that's the answer to that question. I'm gonna look.
But one of the things that gives me great joy is that we are allowed to decorate our classrooms like middle school rooms, so they look like middle school classrooms. And then at night, when the college kids come in to attend class, they're attending them in middle school rooms, and that gives my heart great joy.
We're actually supposed to keep that pretty minimal so it looks like a college when they're in there. So sometimes we push the boundaries of that a little bit with the university. And every once in a while, the dean will let me know that our classrooms look a little too middle school and not quite college enough, and we'll tone back down the flair. I know there's a movie out there with the flair, and the restaurant employee had to have so much flair. I don't remember what movie it was. Every once in a while, I have to go into a classroom and have a conversation with staff about their flair. But that was a great question in the chat. I saw some other questions in the chat. Let me take a look back through, or if anyone else is watching, they can help me out here. Or if anyone wants to jump in and ask a question while I'm looking through the chat, feel free.
Again, I want to point out that any questions that appear in the chat will appear on the FAQ page. So for our viewers on YouTube, you'll be able to find the answers to all of these questions on our FAQ page of our website.
Awesome. So there is a question in the chat. Is there a link for tomorrow's Zoom? Sorry if I missed it. Yes, there's a link for tomorrow's Zoom. But I want to remind folks that is primarily for students. Unlike open house and morning coffee, where I really want parents on to join us and to talk with us. Tomorrow's assembly, and we're not going to put that on YouTube, because what we don't want to have, we want to try to keep minimal the broadcasting of all of our students' faces for reasons. So we're not going to stream that on YouTube, right? Is that correct, Mrs. Bionich? That's what we decided.
Yeah, that's correct. We're not streaming that on YouTube. If a parent from a divided household for some reason if you can't stand behind your student and you want to be able to stand in the back of the room, so to speak, just call me. We'll make an exception for you. And then we'll ask that you hide your video so that it throws you to the back of the room.
So, and it's a good question. So there is a link on the main webpage, right, Mrs. Bionich?
So that right now the link exists on the FAQ page under frequently asked questions. What does the first day of school look like? It appears twice in 2 of the questions. And I can add it to the Anchorage Stream News page as well. I'll take down that brick and mortar picture about open house, and I'll add information about the first day of Zoom assembly. Ms. Gatlin is calling it our Zoom assembly.
So I have a question, actually, maybe for Mrs. Smith or another one of our staff who are on here.
Go for Smith.
So in the past, for students, when we did this type of thing, we would put the link in the Stream Google Classroom because our students aren't always navigating to the website for things. Is there another way teachers are sharing, or that we can share through Canvas or through another platform, this link for students to let them know to be on for the assembly tomorrow?
Yeah, so definitely announcements in Canvas will go to the parent observers, connected account, and the students, but we're not yet, connected on Canvas. We don't freak anybody out or put any high demands on them. We're going to guide students through getting onto Canvas through something called Hello Canvas. So prior to that, I was going to suggest Remind app. Remind. I have several parents connected already through there who have confirmed, but Remind automatically loaded our students in there. So teachers just connect to Remind and boom, the kid's already there. I know if any of you are on there watching, I'm sorry if I freaked you out when I sent you a Remind message yesterday saying hello. Yeah, so through Remind, I think.
Okay, so that's interesting. So you guys all are already connected through Remind.
Yes, once a teacher connects to the school, to the ASD and then to Stream, it immediately, and it updated my roster with a new student that was added when I clicked refresh, just like overnight when Canvas syncs. That must be when the Remind app is syncing as well.
Okay. I'm just looking at Remind right now. So I'm assuming that it synced our Stream Academy Remind account with the district's updated Remind account. I'm not totally sure how that worked.
Yeah, it's like magic,
I hope so.
So parents, families, if you want to learn more about what we're talking about, if you're not familiar with the Remind app or you didn't get this secret, super crazy, weird message from me, you can look on the ASD website for Clever, and through Clever, which is like this portal, universal portal access to, I wish Laura actually is here. She actually says it better than I do. Anyways, Remind is there, but there's some information right there for Remind. And your kid will be magically connected to your to your teacher. And from the teacher, and we can just push out a message and that'll make maybe I'm just talking down a rabbit hole. I'll mute.
So parents will get Remind messages from their teachers because the district loaded all of the teachers and their rosters into Remind for us, which is amazing. That is magic, because that otherwise would have been pretty tedious. And we have our schools Remind, general announcement Remind account, which I have up right here. So this is mostly messages from myself, and Miss Gatlin has access to this school-wide account. And I think maybe Mrs. Bionich does. If not, I'll add it for her. So you can add it. It's really nice because Remind can work through text. So you can send and receive text messages that you're not actually using a personal cell phone number. It goes through the Remind app. And that's really nice. So you can, if you sign up for this, you'll get texts from Stream Academy. And if you sign up to the link teachers send you, you'll get texts directly about that class and that cohort. And the other way to do this is, And if you just put in the 81010 in the phone number line, in the place where you'd put a phone number, and then text that message, it'll add you to Stream Academy, to the school. So I'm still navigating the updated and district linked version of Remind, and so there'll be more to come on that. Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Smith.
10-4.
Were there any other questions in the chat that you saw, Mrs. Beyondich, or any other things that we could address for folks?
Yeah, there's a question in the chat box about what the room sanitizing looks like between college and middle school when we're back face to face.
I have to go through what I talked to Steve Millions, who's the building manager for Wayland Baptist, and we do have protocols in place for our custodian to go through between 4:30 and 6 and do that. And then they have a night custodian after the college classes who goes through again. So there'll be a quick sanitization between our use and the college use. And then they, because they're set up as a night school, they have a custodian that cleans, late at night, and they sanitize and wipe everything down. And they do that every night that the college is in use. So there'll be two sessions in there.
And there'll be kits in each classroom when we finally are face to face and we have students back in the building. There are kits that we are putting together, a kit for each classroom, so that that can happen. That it's not going to happen just once. It's going to happen multiple times throughout the day.
Yes.
There's another good question in the chat box about how are teachers facilitating student engagement with one another during Zoom classes? And I'm wondering if any teachers who are on would like to address that one.
I can start if that would be helpful. So Mr. B and I, Mr. Beer and I are math science for 7th grade. And we are teaching our science and math courses sort of independently, but we're covering the same kind of standards. And then our mission vision class, we're going to put all of our students together and we're going to team teach that at the same time. That is specifically for the reason that we want our students to be communicating with each other and talking with each other. And so one of the first things that we're going to do after our induction week is talk about communication in the virtual environment, both talking to peers, talking to a teacher. How do you add a comment on a Google Doc? How do you share a Google Doc? So we are going to, as teachers, facilitate some of that upfront learning about how to communicate online. And then we are going to be using the breakout room feature extensively during our mission vision course. And we're going to be putting students into breakout rooms in small groups, either in pairs or in triads, so that they can see each other and talk to each other and collaborate on projects. This is not going to be an individualized learning. We are still focused on the mission vision of the school as project-based and experiential and collaborative. We think that students learn best by being able to work with one another and bounce ideas off one another. Humans are social creatures anyway, that we thrive off of that connection. And so Mr. B and I are going to be facilitating a lot of that, both with explicit instruction on how to do that, but then following up with projects where we actually expect the students to collaborate and talk to each other in those Zoom sessions. Does that answer that question, or are there follow-up questions?
Yeah, Zeb, you are so articulate. I appreciate everything you just said, and I love your voice. It's so soothing, like jazz. Carla in the chat also clarified, are students going to have the opportunity to engage in small groups or one-on-one with each other? And just a note, when we structure our Zooms, we are planning on doing breakout groups within the Zooms. So backing up, just restating something that Zeb said, we're going to do synchronous live Zoom classes, and we have schedule. We already have that scheduled and with the specific times and when all those are, but we're going to call you Thursday and Friday to inform you of that, like individually, so that everything is clear. And we plan on doing one-on-one times in those Zoom live teaching sessions that are like breakouts. In addition to that, I've already looked at everyone's schedule that's posted them, and I can say with certainty, all of us within like a period one have some time where we've scheduled like a one-on-one time with just certain kids that need that extra help or want that one-on-one guidance with everything.
So just stuff that I think bears repeating. We will have classes, live synchronous classes, 4 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Students will be expected to log on to all 3 of their core classes. Your cohort team teachers, when they do the calls and the initial check-ins with you parents, they will give you those specific schedules, those Zoom times. We're expecting students for each class to log in and participate for the Zoom sessions, the live Zoom sessions. They're a minimum of 30 minutes. And I want to stress to parents, that doesn't mean 30 minutes of teaching. There's 30 minutes for a class. The expectation for teachers is that there's a minimum of 30 minutes of direct instruction, teaching and learning interaction on Zoom. And so as with any class period, direct instruction and interaction and discussion is only part of the instruction. Another part of that is work, is collaborating in your pairs or in your teams, is completing assignments, doing research, working on your math problems and so forth. So teachers will put that, like Mr. Holsopple and Mr. Beer have a really awesome detailed, full day detailed schedule that they're sending out. So it doesn't just say half-hour Zoom session, half-hour Zoom session, half-hour Zoom session. It says Zoom session, and it gives details, including breaks. But the key piece I want to stress is that offline piece is just as important. That asynchronous piece is just as important. So along with every synchronous session, there are expectations to now work for an additional amount of time on assignments and so forth for this class before we meet again for the next class. So there's a balance there between the live teaching and learning piece and then the work on this piece. I know some of our staff are even planning on keeping the Zoom rolling with the camera and the mics off. So they'll have the direct instruction piece and expect students to be working, but they're not going to turn the Zoom off. So it's really more than just that 30 minutes. The 30 minutes is the live synchronous piece for each class. So that's 4 days a week, three classes a day. And then Wednesday, I really stressed this at open house last night. I know not at our school, I have not actually heard this at all from our school community and any member at all, but I know that in the larger ASD bubble, there are some thoughts out there about, wait, teachers don't teach on Wednesday. What does that mean? Do they have the day off? Do kids have the day off? And I really want to stress that Wednesday is packed. Wednesday is going to be as busy a day, if not more busy, for students and teachers than any other day of the week. I can assure you it's not going to be a day off for our staff. We'll start the day with morning coffee. We'll have our staff meetings of trainings and professional development. Wednesday is the day that we've designated for all of those one-on-one and small group things we do in schools. So IEP meetings and 504 meetings, phone calls home to parents. If your child is not attending on Zoom regularly, they'll be checking in with you. Conferences with students, conferences with parents, small study groups, additional support, office hours or Zoom opportunities for a student to get one-on-one help, tutoring, and on and on and on. So there's also a lot of hard work and planning that goes into teaching, and a good portion, hour to 2 hours of Wednesday chunk of time, our teacher teams will be meeting together to plan these awesome, robust lessons and projects. For example, Mr. Holsopple and Mr. Beer are going to need time, just the two of them, to really dig into what their projects look like, how their team teaching the projects class, how their lessons are linked together, and what they're planning together. So Wednesday is a very, very busy day for our teaching staff. And I'd ask you, because our stream family is tight, I'd ask you that if you hear the word on the street about, oh, well, teachers have the day off Wednesday, that you very politely and gently correct those folks, because that's about as far from the truth as it can be. And Wednesday, I really want to stress this, and parents, I need your help stressing this. Wednesday is a very busy day for our students. If students aren't working on Wednesday, we're gonna have to work with them and work with you. Students will have iReady lessons to work on Wednesdays. Students will have Alex, which is our online math curriculum that they definitely should be working on Wednesdays. So I'm concerned, and our staff is a little concerned about, with the quarter cohort model, the students that aren't scheduled in math first quarter, we want to make sure those students are still progressing in math. So even though half of our students won't have their math class first quarter, because that's the way the district framed this, we expect all of our students working in math. And once we get rolling, to be able to log into Alex and work through math lessons on the e-learning Wednesdays. So we expect students working online and following their schedule and putting in that work on Wednesdays as well. Okay, I don't know how we ended up going down that rabbit hole, but do we want to come back to questions in the chat or any other questions parents have?
So one of the questions that we had in the chat box was concerning the 6th grade math class. If your student is in 6th grade and has math quarter 1, the math teacher, Ms. Staker, has prepared a packet and gotten a book down for us to give to you. We can get that to you in a number of ways. If you can swing by the school, just call us and we'll run it out to your car. We can do that. If you need one of us to deliver it to you, I can get you on a delivery schedule. That's going to take a little bit longer because there's a small staff here, but we can do that for you. Especially if you're quarantined, we don't want you to leave your home. We'll definitely bring it to you. So yes, there is math stuff for 6th graders right now to pick up. 7th grade science students should expect in the first week of school to receive an envelope from Mr. Holsopple for an experiment that they're going to learn about, that they're going to do. And Mr. Holsopple can speak to that if he needs to. So those were two, and as teachers have other resources that we need to get to you, we will communicate. The teachers will communicate with you, or someone in the office will call you and let you know.
Ms. Bianich, yeah, I would like to speak to those envelopes. Parents, if you could help your student not misplace that envelope, it has microcentrifuge tubes. It has some seeds that will be growing in those microcentrifuge tubes. It has a paper towel that will be growing those seeds in, and it has a disposable pipette in it. It also has a ruler. So all of that is for a seed growing project. If you could really help your student not misplace those items, that would be really helpful. I know I have kids. My kid's first inclination is to take this thing and dump it out. Don't let them do that. Wait for further instructions from me. I'll give them specific instructions in a live Zoom class of, you need to put this seed in this container with this much water. Yeah, so please help me out there if you can.
Thanks, Mr. Holsopple.
I did want to say one more thing about attendance. I almost said Professor Mokelke, Principal Mokelke. The thing about attendance is that we are taking attendance in all of our classes, and attendance is important for student success. But if a student is ill, or if the family has a situation that comes up, or if they have an appointment, just call the office, let the teachers know some way so that we can get that student excused, so that you don't get a call later that says your student didn't log in. Because if we know, we're not going to nag you. We just need to have an open bridge of communication between parents and guardians and the school.
That's a very good point. Thank you. Please, parents, if your child's absence is excused from a Zoom session, and let us know that so we can mark it as such. That is important. And remember, really, excused and unexcused absence is really actually entirely up to parents. Like you don't really need to justify that or to have a specific reason. All you need to do is say, hey, my child's absence is excused today, and we'll work with you on that. I was going to say, this is a good example of the type of responsiveness and communication that we want to have to get going. So the Alex lessons and the science labs and those things, remember, this is the reason we push that back a week, so that we're not diving into those instructional pieces quite so much next week. We're really doing that soft start and building community and building relationships, so everyone has time to gear up and get ready and be ready for those instructional pieces. We're going to be here every Wednesday. So I want to remind parents of that. I'm going to be here every Wednesday morning as we get started, as new concerns and new questions and new challenges arise, and we're going to constantly be working to meet those. Our teachers are just as customer service oriented, and our staff, as Mrs. Beyondich and I. So Mr. Holsopple, Mrs. Smith fielding these questions today is a great example of the support and the communication and the responsiveness that we'll have for you. We're all in this together. I said last night at the open house, this is hard and this is challenging, and a lot of people are nervous and stressed, and it's totally understandable. And I won't ever minimize that. This is hard, but we got this. We got this. Our school community has got this. We'll get through this together. And I kind of harken back to last spring. The two biggest complaints I heard from parents, and this is funny but not funny because they're both legitimate. The two biggest complaints I heard was online lessons and online learning was way too much. It's way too much. It's too hard. We can't keep up. And how are we supposed to do this at home? And then the other biggest complaint I heard is there's not near enough for my kids to do. They're not engaged. Like, online learning isn't near enough. And so how can those things both be true? Well, they can. And those things can both be true for the same family on the same day. Is the funny thing, because I felt that with online learning at home, that sometimes I'm like, this is way too much. I can't, do all this with my child at home. And then later in the day, I'm like, this is not enough. Why don't they have anything to do? So we'll constantly have that give and take. So when you're feeling either of those, talk to us. And, if you have a 7th grader and you feel like they haven't been engaging or don't have enough to do, or they're not being challenged enough, I can guarantee you Mr. Holsopple wants to hear that. I guarantee you he does. And I guarantee you, knowing him, he's got a response for that. And he's going to tell you the ways they can and should be engaging and the additional lessons or the work that they could be doing. And if you're feeling overwhelmed and overloaded, we want to hear that too, because we can always pull back a little bit or offer some more support, offer some one-on-one help or tutoring, and adjust things if it's too much and it's overwhelming. I do want to say that our philosophy from the start of this in March as a staff, and I'm really glad this is the direction we took, and I still believe it's absolutely the right way to do this, is too much is way better than too little. Because too much means our teachers have put all of this content and work and all of these lessons and all of this out there for students to engage all the way up to that high level, right? If they're able to. And we have the ability to throttle that back. But too little, you at home don't have the ability. If we have too little, it's much harder to add a bunch more onto that, right? And then that's more extraneous and it's not as meaningful. And I know that some families' experiences out there outside of stream were frustrated that there was too little. So I would much rather our staff have so much instruction and lessons and ability to engage, that if you're overwhelmed, we could just throttle that back.
I do have a question. If a student misses a Zoom, is it going to be recorded so they can watch it later on their Canvas platform?
Yes, this has been a super hot topic in education. And one of the things I kind of nerd out on is educational law. I really like to study and follow educational law. And I just kind of love, the law and legal aspects of things anyway. This has been a really hot topic nationally. In terms of FERPA and privacy rights and all of those things. And so the district has gotten a legal opinion from the district lawyer finally, and has taken the stance that it is allowable for staff to record a Zoom and post that in their Canvas platforms, because the access to that is still limited to people in the class, and it's not publicly broadcast or publicly posted. So yes, that tricky, touchy issue that school districts are wrestling with all across the nation. For Anchorage School District and thus for Stream Academy, the answer is yes. Teachers can record their Zoom sessions and post those in Canvas.
And then we had a question about Ignite. Ignite is a program that's used in elementary ed in the Anchorage School District to engage gifted learners. Ignite is not a program that's used in secondary ed. Instead, classes are taught at a gifted level. At your local school, then you'd be, if you were in a neighborhood school, then they would put you in a gifted class.
And you know what I say. You know what I say about this. Mrs. Bianich is putting it very nicely. What I say is our whole school is Ignite. You know, and I just personally, I don't necessarily believe that highly engaging, hands-on, project-based STEM classes should be reserved for a few kids, and that's why we have a school-wide Ignite program. So all of our kids have the opportunity to do robotics when we're face-to-face, for example. All of our kids get a teacher like Mr. Holsapple, who's going to design junk drawer science lessons, and everything they do is hands-on. All of our kids get a science teacher like Mrs. Goodman that's going to take kids outside, adventuring and exploring and doing real-world projects, researching, you know, whether a road should be put through this wooded area and what the impact is on the environment versus traffic patterns. All of our kids get to do that, not just a few. That's my answer.
Thank you, Principal McKelkey. And then I also want to touch base really quickly on if you requested a Chromebook, it is available for pickup. Many parents and guardians have already picked up Chromebooks. So all you have to do is when you drive into the parking lot, call us from the parking lot, and Miss Atkins or Ms. Bonertz or Mrs. Bianich, that's me, will bring it up and deliver it right to your car, as we will the math books or whatever supplies that we need. Somebody also asked in the chat box, is there a supply list that students need? There's a basic supply list that we recommend and have since day one of our school in 2016 that students have. That's posted on our website. It essentially is just the basics for learning. It's paper, pencils, pens. If they need specific items like those little test tube things that Mr. Holsapple has, we will provide that for your student. And if you need assistance with basic supplies like pens and paper, ask me. We'll give it to you. We will have anything that you need for your student available to you if you need it.
Absolutely. I stress that as often as I can. Thank you, Mrs. Bianich. We don't want our families to be struggling to pull together supplies. We want you to ask. The worst possible thing that could happen is there's something that you ask just to see if we got it and we have to say no. And I'm not good at saying no. So if you have needs for things, and this will develop over time, if you have needs for things at home, ask us. We actually have a bin full of iPads that is collecting dust right now. So after we finish, don't panic, Mrs. Bianich. After we finish our initial rollout and Chromebook checkout and students get rolling, what I'm hoping to do is to pull those iPads out and work on an optional checkout for an iPad as an additional tool and device. And there are things that the iPad, especially like for science lessons, and there's a frog dissection, virtual frog dissection app, for when Mr. Holsapple's dissecting frogs. So we'll look at trying to get those out there also. But we want to support you. We want to help, and if that means we need to put it together, a notebook and a pack of pens and pencils into a bag and drop that off, if that's what your child needs, and that's been a challenge, we'll do that.
We're approaching the 9 o'clock hour, Principal McKelkey, but I did want to point out that we have some parents chatting in the, so it's a really nice comment that one parent sent to another parent. One parent wondering how to transition their child from elementary to middle school and what tools are in place. And I'm going to go ahead and record the answer that one of our parents gave to her, because it is a beautiful answer. And I want all of our 6th grade parents to know that we're going to transition your kid gently, kindly, and gracefully into middle school. We will guide them through middle school, and we will prepare them for high school and what's beyond high school.
Thank you, Mrs. Bionich. I want to say a quick word about enrollment, and we're wrapping up here. I know our enrollment is strong, and I just first want to thank our staff, Mrs. Bionich, and our stream community. We didn't have families fleeing us, you know, for other programs because they're concerned about how things will look in the fall and changes and, you know, uncertainties. And I am so appreciative of that our school community is strong. Our enrollment is actually exactly where we want it to be right now. 60 and 40, 66, 67, 48, those were our targets, and it's right on. So I'm not concerned about enrollment. Our enrollment is strong, and I want to tell you how thankful I am that because every other school out there, like pretty much every school in the district, is looking at declining enrollments and really worried about that. So thank you for having faith in Stream Academy, and I promise you I'm going to do everything in my power to reward that faith with constant customer service and communication and support. I did want to make a little plug because of the way that we've structured the first half of the year in cohorts. Although we have our target of 60 sixth graders and 60 seventh graders, that means those 4 cohorts are 15 students apiece. And because those cohorts are that small, that they're 15 students apiece, we actually have the room, we have the capacity to take 4 to 6 more at each grade level. So if I took 4 more sixth graders, those cohorts just go from 15 to 16. So because they're spread out that way, we do want to give the opportunity to 6th and 7th grade parents who might be interested to call us and set up an interview and see if the program's a good fit. And so if you know other folks out there who might be struggling or just really wishing, you know, they had put in for the lottery when they had the chance, we are allowed to do open enrollment outside of the lottery, and we're outside of the lottery right now. So let those 6th and 7th grade parents know to call us. 6th grade is pretty boy heavy. It's you know, roughly 40 boys, 20 girls. So I would much prefer, I'll be looking for girls to fill those 6th grade seats first, but I'll consider anyone that asks. 7th grade is really well balanced. It's like 30, almost 30 and 30. So it doesn't matter as much. 8th grade, we keep smaller, and those cohorts have only 2 teachers for 40 kids. And so unfortunately, I don't have the capacity to take any 8th graders. We have a wait list. We have a pretty, you know, good 10 students, give or take, on the wait list for 8th grade. So that's probably not happening. So I wanted to put that out there. We can take a few more 6th and 7th graders. I can't believe it's 9 o'clock already. Thank you, Stream community. Thank you, staff that was able to come on and answer questions and talk. Don't forget, Mrs. Bionich has some Rapids mugs left. If you want your Rapids mug, call us, email us, ask us questions. We're here for you. Have a great day, Stream Academy family. We'll talk with you soon. We'll see you soon. Have a great first day of school tomorrow, and hopefully I'll see you all next Wednesday.
Bye, guys.